let's talk about potential replacements, because really that's where Liverpool will have to go next. And I'm sure if they've known since November, like Klopp claims, as any good club would, not like United did when Sir Alex left, they've undoubtedly kind of set the building blocks in play for the next manager. And to no one's surprise whatsoever, the leading front runner come out of today's news is Xabi Alonso, the current manager of Bayer Leverkusen, and unless you've been living a rock the last 20 years, former player of Liverpool, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich. And what he is doing at Leverkusen this year, guys, is absolutely ridiculous. Bayern have won, I think, since 2012-13 to now, what is it? This could be their 12th title in a row, I think. If they win it this year, it'd be their 12th. And bar 1 year where Tuchel's Dortmund really pushed them close, most of these league titles, from my memory, have been pretty straightforward. They've been pretty straightforward for Bayern. And Alonso has come into Leverkusen and really built a side, of players that I don't really think you can really call world-class players, not in my opinion. Guys like Victor Boniface, Xhaka, who has come in. I'm trying to think really who are the names that he's brought in himself. A lot of them were Grimaldo, he's brought in himself, but a lot of them were there before. Tapsoba, Florian Wirtz, we know is a world-class talent. Frimpong, I believe, was there as well before Alonso. But he's really come in and built this club that, again, doesn't really have any huge names, bar maybe Wirtz, and painted it in his image and is taking the Bundesliga by storm. And he's even on course to register a points tally that I don't think Bayern has hit since the Pep days. Because the Pep days, he was hitting high points tallies in the Bundesliga. He's on course to do that at Leverkusen. He hasn't lost a single game in the league for sure, but potentially in all competitions as well. Maybe that's the stat. But anyways, Leverkusen are an absolute joy to watch. And not only are they a ruthless winning machine in a league that's predominantly dominated by one team, but they have a style of play, an ethos. And it's very clearly Xabi Alonso's ethos. And when you're looking for a top manager to kind of take over a football club, yes, you have to have character. Yes, you have to have tactics. But you also, in my opinion, have to be undying. You have to be willing to die on the sword of your tactics, of your philosophy, of your ethos, something that I don't believe Ten Hag has done at United. You have to be willing to die, live and die by that ethos. And I think in Xabi Alonso, you're seeing kind of the next byproduct of the Spanish coaching tree, kind of spearheaded by Pep, the disciple. I wouldn't call him a disciple of Pep because he has loads of experience from Mourinho, Benitez, Ancelotti, a few more as well in there. But really, he's kind of the next of kin, if you want to call it that. You look at the Iraola, what he's doing at Bournemouth, really impressive job. Arteta at Arsenal speaks for itself. Could he be the next one really to emerge as the next great Spanish manager? I think there's another one I'm missing. I don't want to say Xavi because look what Xavi is doing right now. I'd be hard for us to say that. But he's really, I would say, probably the number one name on every single club's wish list at the moment. Real Madrid, I'm sure, have an eye on him. Bayern Munich, Thomas Tuchel, who knows he's so kind of like explosive in terms of his consistency. He might be out the door tomorrow. I'm sure he's high up on that list. And Liverpool, of course, no doubt, will have him high on their managerial wish list as well. One thing I'll say about Alonso, and I have no doubt that Alonso, for more than one reason, right? His managerial experience, what he's doing with Leverkusen, his philosophy, but also the kind of like background he has in terms of managers he's worked with. I have no doubt that Alonso will be a great manager. But I do think waking up today and seeing how Liverpool fans are kind of talking about him, I think we need to slow it down a little bit, guys. Because let's be real here, he is a novice. He has been coaching for like a year and a half now. There's nothing to suggest that he goes to Liverpool or goes to Bayern next year, goes to Real Madrid, and maybe he flops. Maybe the job is too early for him. He's still young. He's 42 years old. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the way we're talking about him right now is, for me, no different really to the way we were talking about Julian Nagelsmann a few years ago when he was kind of breaking through at RB Leipzig, making Champions League semifinals with them, being on the shortlist for UEFA Coach of the Year. We were all going crazy about him. And now, if you ask most Liverpool fans, I don't think they'd want Nagelsmann anywhere near their club. Let's think back to Steven Gerrard in his time at Rangers. Now, a little different to Bayern, but let's also remember the stranglehold Celtic had on the league at the time too. Rangers kind of coming through administration, having to rebuild their image. Gerrard had an undefeated season with them, was playing liquid football, seemed like basically guaranteed the Liverpool job down the line once Klopp left. And now you look at him now after a spell at Villa and a spell in Saudi Arabia, bro, he's probably not in the top million candidates for Liverpool Football Club. So I feel like with Alonso, we just need to slow it down a little bit. Like, he is not the only manager in the world. And if Liverpool, for some reason, don't get him, it's not the end of the world, man. He'll be there in a few years, I'm sure. And if I were him, actually, I kind of look at it the way I looked at the Jude job, right? If he goes to Real Madrid tomorrow and he fails, you can fail downwards to Liverpool. No disrespect to Liverpool, but Liverpool is a smaller job than the Real Madrid job. If you go to Liverpool first, taking over from Klopp, immediately after Klopp, that's probably the toughest job you can do, and you fail from that, you're not failing upwards to Real Madrid. You're failing downwards to smaller jobs. So I think that's worth kind of thinking about. Me personally, if I was Xabi Alonso and putting myself in Xabi Alonso's shoes, I would actually look at the Bayern Munich job, personally. Because I think it's a natural progression from the Leverkusen job. He stays in the league. He takes over a team that's expected to win the league as well too. Bigger budget now, working with bigger players. It's good now. Another test for him, but not too big a jump in test. Be playing in the Champions League, be working in a bigger environment, and then we see him for real. Now, if he continues doing really well at Bayern, now Liverpool, maybe they fire Klopp leaves, Liverpool goes and hires Amorim, for example, and Amorim fails at Liverpool. And now Klopp is Alonso is a year or two more experienced, has the experience of working with bigger names, has coached in the Champions League, and now he looks at Liverpool. Okay, now it's a better time for me to come in. There's less pressure on me to replace an all-time great. I'm replacing a failing manager. If I'm Alonso, I think that might be the best career progression for him. Because I think Real Madrid is too soon. And I think Liverpool, anybody taking the job after Jurgen Klopp, I hold my hands and applaud you. Because I think it's just similar to the Arsene Wenger one. You are replacing a living, breathing icon of the club. That's not as simple as just bringing in a good tactician. It's just not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Similar to Moyes taking over from Sir Alex. I'm personally of the belief that 99% of managers who replaced Sir Alex when he retired would have probably failed. And I think it could be the same with Jurgen Klopp. What's in Liverpool's favor over United and Arsenal at the time is the position Klopp has left the squad. I do hear that. And this is why, for me, I almost think, is there more than meets the eye to this departure? Because you look at the direction in which the club was being kind of built this summer. This was a club that was clearly going through a rebuild, and Klopp was at the mantle of that. He was at the front mantle of that, bringing in Szoboszlai, McAllister. In the past, I was always saying Liverpool are kind of having the building blocks already. Konate coming into the club, Darwin Nunez coming into the club, Curtis Jones is already in there. Who else did they buy? Jota is 26. They were kind of like building a squad of around 23, 24, 25, 26-year-olds. And I was kind of envisioning Klopp, this is going to be the next Liverpool team that he kind of builds and leads into the horizon. So while yes, it's a great team for me, for any coach to come in, and then I'm sure he's going to want to add in as well. That's why for me, I'm almost thinking, is there more than meets the eye of this Klopp decision? Because it seemed like A, with the contract he signed, and B, the fact that he had already started rebuilding the squad into a newer team, it looked like he was pretty committed. And in fact, his interview today, he said, when I signed that contract, I fully expected to see my way through 2026. And it's only recently that I've realized my health is not as great as I thought it was. Is there more than meets the eye? I'm not trying to do a conspiracy theory here, but from the outside looking in, it's peculiar to me.